you should quit trying. You were too small, that you were too young. They tell you the chance is too slim, the world is too big, but you say how come? I'm ready to light a new fire, raise a new flag across a new sea. And if I'm ever the one in your way, then put your head down and run right through me. So why keep settling for so much less? Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door. It's something like a shadow in the valley, colossal. Open up your eyes, young one, and be watchful. Behind closed doors, trying to write a new.
And what that looks like.
You're not God, they're not even apostles. I come with the dumb drum banging you breathless. Enemies freeze, left bent and defenseless. Straight for the chest of anybody against us. The more they resist it, the more that they tempt us. So why keep settling for so much less? Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay, yeah, you guys should be able to hear me. Cool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first Bulls game of the 2023-24 season, not the official season, but just the first game in general, is in the books, and we get our first post-game stream today. So this is awesome. I know it's a Sunday. I also know it's football, so I know a lot of you are going to be watching this via the VOD, but whether you're watching this live right now or you're watching via the VOD, I truly do appreciate all your support and you guys just checking in. However you're watching it, it truly means a lot. I'm going to try to fix my camera here in just a second. I want to pull the brightness yet. But no matter what, we're just going to continue doing what we've always done with the post-game streams. And I'm really excited to talk about this because we're finally talking about something new at the end of a Bulls game, because last year it just seemed like the constant issue with every single post-game stream was that, well, the Bulls took too many mid-range shots. Well, the Bulls played too slow. Wow, the Bulls didn't shoot enough three-point shots. And it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And we don't have to talk about that right now, which is awesome, just for obviously a content sake, but also just to see this Bulls team finally start to play a little bit more like modern-day basketball. And I had a lot of fun watching this game. I know it's been a long time since we had Bulls basketball on, but either way, I do think that this was a really awesome game to tune into and just kind of see how much work has been done with this team, even though it is relatively the same team as last season. So I'm really happy to start talking about this. I hope you guys are excited about it as well. And yeah, let's get this thing rolling. I see Noel, I see Magugla. What's going on, you guys? It was an interesting game. I will say, yeah, I agree. This definitely was an interesting game to kind of watch and check out here. We're gonna go over a lot of things, just kind of talk just in general first. I don't want to get into the film just yet. I have a lot of plays that I have written down that I do want to showcase, but that's gonna be much later in the stream. I also am planning on doing a video later before the Nuggets game, which I believe is on Thursday, to talk about like some of the positives I saw from this game and the Bulls on the offensive end. There's a lot of positives that kind of I think we can take away from this game. But let's just talk just in general. I want to talk with you guys a lot, get you guys in on the conversation here, as we saw a different Bulls team today, right? We definitely saw a much different Bulls squad than we saw from last year, because we saw them playing with a lot more pace. If you do not know the Bulls, they had 21 fast break points in the first half alone, okay? You want 21 fast break points in a game, right? And the Bulls had 21 fast break points in the first half by themselves, okay? So they finished with 25, so we saw in the second half, I mean, it was sloppy basketball in the second half, but that was the third strings and the guys that won't make the team that were having some issues. Second chance points was also pretty solid. I wasn't really able to keep track of this too much, but it seemed like the Bulls were doing a little bit better job, especially with like the Torrey Craigs of the world. We saw with Patrick Williams a little bit too, but obviously Andre Drummond's a big part. So that played a big role. The big thing that I'm a little bit interested in, I'll have to kind of listen to Billy and what he says after this game, but the points in the paint thing is the one that I'm very confused by, because Billy said in his, in the media day that it's so important for this Bulls team to get into the paint and get more paint touches, because therefore that's going to open up a lot more shots from the 3-point land and get more shots at the rim. It's going to open up more rebounding opportunities on the offensive end. And it's like, well, I do think what he says is right. I just don't think this team is built to be a team that dominates the paint, okay? And I think this team is more built to shoot more threes than it is to dominate the paint, compared to a team like the Denver Nuggets, who have a bunch more size. They have a guy in the MVP caliber player in Jokic, right, who just dominates the paint, right? So it's a little bit interesting to hear him say that. But the points in the paint battle, the Bulls at halftime, they had 12 points in the paint compared to 22 from Milwaukee Bucks. So that was like a little bit interesting just to kind of look at. But overall, though, I think that this is a really solid game just to kind of see the process of this Bull squad. Preseason, I don't care about the results at all. I truly don't. To me, it's all about process over results. And I thought in that first quarter, we saw how we should see this Bull squad play for 48 minutes, right? Or at the very least, play for 36 minutes, okay? I do think that in the fourth quarter, game's going to slow down, and it's going to be much harder to generate offense in general. But that first quarter, we saw this Bulls squad put up 12 3-point shots, which I could not believe my eyes that the Bulls shot 12 threes in a quarter, which was fantastic to watch. And then we saw this Bulls squad. You could see just off the first quarter shot chart here. I mean, look at how many shots they actually did get at the paint. So this was really solid to see. Not that many mid-range. There was a few, obviously, here. And honestly, as I'm circling these, this might be a little bit too much mid-range in general. But overall, though, I was really happy to see it, because if you're going to shoot that many mid-range shots, you got to make up for it on the 3-point land, and that's what they did. The Bulls just shot a ton of 3-point shots in that first quarter, and not only did they just shoot it, there were quality 3-point looks, right? A lot of it was coming off in transition. We saw Kobe White and Zach LaVine pushing the ball hard in transition, and it opened up a 3-point look for Patrick Williams, or the other member of the backcourt. Even DeMar DeRozan took an open 3-point shot on what was basically driving kick situation, where we saw Zach LaVine come off a pick and roll with Vooch. Vooch got the ball and then threw it out to DeRozan, and DeRozan let it fly. So we're seeing that these guys, especially in that first unit, they were really buying in. They were buying into this offensive system that seems to have had some changes to it, which I'm happy to see, because this needs to continue. And once we see that this is an establishment in the offensive end, then we can start getting into like the little like minor detail stuff that we don't always see that can make a big difference in the end, right? But so far, I mean, considering that the Bulls were like one of the worst teams in pace last season, they obviously did not shoot enough threes last season. They're dead last in threes. Those were two major changes in the first quarter alone. So that was really awesome to see. I thought the second unit came in and did a pretty good job. I don't exactly know how that second unit is going to really roll, because they don't really have much playmaking in that. But we saw the defense stick really well in that second unit, and then we saw the offense. It was really kind of driven by the defense. So we're going to have to look more into the second unit in the half-court offense. But overall, I think it was a pretty solid game for what we would consider like the most important part of the game, right? I'm not really looking, from like the first, or besides like the first 6 minutes of that third quarter, I'm not really looking past into the later part of the game, because those guys don't really matter too much. But from the lineups that did matter, and we saw a bunch of lineups that did, it was overall solid. I do think that the second quarter was a little rough. We kind of saw it here just in the shot chart alone, right? I mean, I kind of tweeted this out also, and I didn't say it initially because I knew I was going to get some flack from Bulls fans, but these shots here, okay? Now, you can kind of see that, like, oh, well, they made a lot of them, and this is the part of, like, the mid-range that's going to be such a balance for this team to kind of figure out, because they relied heavily on that mid-range last season, right? The Bulls in the second quarter only took 7 threes, which already, in my opinion, that's too low. That's way too low of a 3-point attempts in a quarter. Okay, it's gonna happen from time to time, but your goal should be you need to shoot 8 to 10 threes per quarter. Okay, so if you're anywhere under, that's too low. But the Bulls, there was a moment here where we saw the Bulls kind of in that second quarter, they started taking way too many mid-range shots in a row. Okay, so we saw the subs come in here. Okay. Milwaukee is already kind of starting to come back into the game here, but it's still a 12-point game. And so then suddenly you see this. You see Milwaukee starts to go on a run here where we see cutting layup, mid-range shot, 14-foot mid-range shot, 17-foot mid-range shot, turnover by Zach, and then another mid-range shot, a mid-range shot, okay? This is the part where the Bulls need to get away from, okay? I'm not saying don't take mid-range. There's going to be times you need to take the mid-range, especially because it probably might be the best shot you're going to get in that possession. But what you can't do is do this where you shot 5 mid-range shots in a row. And on the other end, unfortunately, Milwaukee, besides this shot, they were taking more efficient shots where you see layup, 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 3-point shot, 3-point shot. And this is how Milwaukee got back into the game. The thing is like, as I'm saying this, right, you're looking at this, well, the Bulls, they made 3 out of their 5 shots. The problem is that Milwaukee's hitting their threes. Milwaukee's hitting their layups, right? That's how you lose a game, even though you're making shots, right? That's how you start to lose a lead, even if you're making those mid-range shots. If the opposing team's hitting those threes, right, it does not matter in the end. So this is the one issue from this game that I was a little bit concerned by, is that when we saw Milwaukee start hitting those shots, right, and we saw that the offense had to go to the half-court set, the half-court sets kind of just went to mid-range shot. And that needs to go away for this team to start taking the next step with this offense, making sure that it's not going to be back to what we saw last season. So this is part of it where I think that the Bulls starting to need to move forward, but this is like the one stretch where I was just a little bit concerned. Other than that, though, I have no issues really with what we saw today in that first half. So your thoughts, honestly, what you guys had from this game, and mostly about the first half. We'll talk about some of the other players that played in the second half a little bit later, but what's going on, Sandroko? It was nice. Les DeMar is way better. I wouldn't say necessarily like Les DeMar is better, but I think the shots that DeMar takes can be better, right? I don't want DeRozan to take less shots in general. I just want to make sure that he's taking better shots overall in terms of efficiency wise. Kobe looked dope. Oh, I think Kobe was the best player today. I think Kobe White had his fantastic game today. And he gave me a lot of hope, because I will say that if you watch my streams, watch my videos, I've had Carter as the starting point guard for this Bull squad. I have kind of been thinking to myself like, oh, it's going to be Carter, it's going to be starting. I kind of just put that in my head. But Billy Donovan comes out and puts Kobe White as the starting point guard, and Kobe showed me a lot. There's a lot that I really like from Kobe in this game, and it gives me a lot of hope for this squad, because I said coming into the season that I do think that the Bulls are going to get to 46 wins, and if that's going to happen, then I believe one of the young guys, whether it's Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, or Patrick Williams, is going to have to step up and be a really, really good and be really, really solid at whatever they step up in, whether it's them being a starter or being like a 6-man of the year type situation. If Kobe White can continue what we saw today from the starting point guard position, I think the Bulls are going to look really solid. I mean, his driving ability and his playmaking has taken such a big jump, in my opinion, that if we see this consistently, which is the key word here, then we're looking at a really solid starting point guard and a really solid backcourt. It's not perfect, right? But that's a really solid backcourt suddenly between White and Levine, which we kind of thought would be the backcourt initially. But Kobe White has been one of the 2 players that AK has kept from the Gar Pax days, right? And they clearly had some sort of vision, and it's starting to work out right now. So I hope this continues. I'm not questioning Kobe White's skill set. His skill set is phenomenal, and it complements this starting unit very, very well. The big question for me is his consistency, which I think most people just kind of looked over last season, because there were moments with Kobe where we saw like he would have like a week and a half of good play, and then he'd have 3 bad games, right? And that to me just kind of got like thrown out of the window, because we saw so much improvement from his overall skill set, which again, skill set took a humongous step last season, but it's about the consistency from Kobe. And if he's starting, that consistency needs to be there every single night. And so if we get what we saw tonight, which was, 14, 6, and 6, that's phenomenal. And I will be very happy if Kobe's doing that every single night, because then he becomes a very dynamic point guard in this league, which will be awesome to watch. Brook Lopez always turns into Steph Curry against us. He, for some reason, does, and I don't know why. But, you know, people harp on me for saying that Vooch needs to shoot more threes. And look, I don't think that Vucevic is going to, you know, suddenly become a 40% three-point shooter. But, like, Brook Lopez was a post-up player back in his day, and he's out there shooting threes. Like, he doesn't post up anymore. Like, people harp on me for it, but then I see Brook Lopez doing it, so why can't Vooch do it? You know? But yeah, Brook Lopez, for some reason, against the Chicago Bulls, he just destroys us, and that's really, really crazy. My games, Billy? What do you mean by that, Sandroko? I want to hear your thoughts. Noel Facts. If we can have Kobe and Pat build on today's performance, I would like to see DeMar and Vooch handle more of the playmaking role. Oh, 100%. And I think today was a good showing from, I guess, Vooch in general, in terms of his playmaking, quote-unquote. First off, I just want to point out to everybody, right? The one thing that everyone's gonna, you know, come after me, and I know it's coming. Okay, it's gonna happen this season, and I'm sure it's gonna happen in YouTube, and I'm waiting for it. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of arguments on Twitter with people about posting up Vooch, and the best thing about that first quarter, in my opinion, was that the Bulls had such a good first quarter, and they had, you know, a good amount of shots in the paint, right? They had a good amount of shots in the paint, and they shot 12 threes, and not once did Nikola Vucevic post up in that first quarter. Not once. And he played 9 minutes. Not once did Nikola Vucevic get a post-up attempt in that first quarter, okay? And this is something I have said. You don't need to post up Vooch for him to be a playmaker. And I thought Vooch was doing a pretty decent job of spreading the ball. I thought, actually, overall in this game, Vooch could have taken a lot more shots. I was like, why'd you pass up on that three-point attempt? And there were a couple of times when he was rolling hard, he just kind of stopped and was looking for a pass. So, yet again, just point that out there. Like, it's one quarter, but the Bulls shot 12 threes, and they got a good amount of shots in the paint, and Vucevic didn't post up once. He did not post up a single time. So, you can use Nikola Vucevic in a way to post up, or not post up, and actually have him be effective as a playmaker. And I think that we did see a good amount of it. Now, Vooch, overall, just took a pretty big backseat today. I mean, he had only 1 assist. He had only 3 shots, which is not normal from him. And he did get to the foul line, which is also abnormal for him, but that's a good thing to see. And he had 4 rebounds. So, not much going on for Nikola Vucevic, but I'm not concerned at all, honestly. And I thought he played a pretty okay game today, even though he wasn't really taking that many shots. He was doing a really good job. Like, Will Gottlieb had, like, a really good article about this, about how Vooch is not necessarily going to be, like, the main focal point, but what he can be is if, let's say, one action doesn't work for the Bulls, then he can be that connecting piece to go to the second action. And that's what he did today. So, all pretty solid stuff overall, and I hope that this sort of continues with Vucevic moving forward. Also, I thought Vucevic looked a little bit awkward when he was trying to make passes. He definitely looked a little bit awkward. But I think that's more of, like, them trying to understand, like, okay, what's the action? And we saw some moments where guys were supposed to kind of cut, and they didn't cut. And then we also saw, like, a moment between him and Zach where I thought that Vooch kind of forced the ball into Zach. Zach came off a double pin down screen and was doing a curl. And I think Vooch kind of thought Zach was going back up to the perimeter. And we saw that he kind of like forced the ball to Zach, and it was really awkward. So if Vooch truly is going to be is saying like, hey, I want to have the ball more and I want to be able to play make more, then he's going to have to be pretty much like the de facto guard or playmaker out there, in a sense, like playing the Draymond Green role. So he needs to go and make sure he has all the plays down. But overall, though, I thought he did a good job connecting everybody as what he should be doing with this squad. So pretty solid overall. Pat looked nice when he wasn't with DeMar. I wouldn't say that specifically. I thought Patrick Williams actually played a really solid game, even with the starting unit. I think even with DeMar DeRozan out there, I thought Patrick Williams played a really solid game. And like, the biggest thing for me with Pat, right? So I also tweeted this out during the game. Okay, look at this. So Patrick Williams in 22 minutes got 9 field goal attempts. Now it is preseason, so there was, he's gonna have a little bit more just in general throughout the game, but he didn't play a full game, right? Like, he didn't play 32 plus minutes tonight, and he got 9 shots. Okay, Patrick Williams can get 9 shots every single game. It doesn't matter if he's, playing with the starters the entire time or if he's coming off the bench. I don't care. He can get 9 shots no matter what. Okay? He shot 6 threes. I have consistently talked about that if Patrick Williams is going to be taking 9-10 shots, then every single shot he takes has to be an efficient shot. So 6 of his 9 shots from 3-point land, that's fantastic, because he's percentage-wise the best 3-point shooter on the team. Therefore, when he's taking shots, I want him taking a 3-point shot instead of him taking an 18-footer. The other part about it is that if he's still having this issue, because I see your comment, Noel, like, he seems a little bit hesitant, right? My biggest issue with Pat's hesitancy is actually when he's like has the ability to drive, because there were a couple of moments where it's either his footwork isn't correct or he just doesn't know exactly what to do with the ball. But when he got into the teeth of the defense, he couldn't go up and finish. So what he needs to, if this is going to be the case still, because there was something pointed out to me during the broadcast that Pat's like shot, like finishing percentage isn't exactly great at the rim. And this is something that I am a little bit concerned with him, because if he's going to be a 6'7", athletic guy, then he needs to do better in terms of his ability to shoot better at the rim here. But I mean, we're looking at his layup percentage. It's at 48%. That's not good, right? Now at the rim percentage, when he's actually able to throw it down and he's able to just go ahead and dunk it, right? We see that his field goal percentage jumps up to 73%. But his layup percentage is severely low for a guy that is supposed to be athletic and, have the power to and strength to finish at the rim. So if this is going to continue to be an issue with him, then I just want to focus on that 3-point shot. If he's going to at least be aggressive from the 3-point land, then I don't have to worry about him being aggressive coming at the rim, right? So that to me is like, it's, if you're aggressive from 3-point land, then I won't have any sort of issue with you if you are hesitant to go hard to the basket. But this today, again, if he's shooting 9 to 10 shots per game, which I know he can get every single game, then I need to see this. I need to see 5 to 6 3-point attempts every single night from him, because I know that he'll get those opportunities. We saw it today, and we've seen it many, many times, that he just hesitates to shoot on the 3. If you're going to hesitate anywhere, hesitate going to the basket, because clearly that's not really too good for you right now. But your 3-point shot, I mean, if you're a 42% 3-point shooter, I don't know why you're even hesitating at all. You need to be launching it constantly, just launching it every single time you can. My games when he said more post looks. Oh, that, yeah. I mean, look, man, I don't know exactly what's going to be with the Vucevic and the post-ups and everything. We saw DeMar DeRozan actually post up twice, which I've said that I think that's a better idea than posting a Vuce. So we'll see if that continues to happen. But if Vuce is not going to post up, which again I think is the best thing, and this is going to be the result of it, like that first quarter specifically, then I don't think anybody should complain whatsoever, including Vucevic himself. Such a fun game. We saw something from everybody. Yeah, I completely agree, Salty. I mean, it's really awesome to see that the two guys that I do think need to step up the most this season, which is in Kobe White and Patrick Williams, they had the best games easily. I mean, by far, those two guys had the best games overall. And I'm really excited to see it, because if this is what we're going to be getting from these guys, right, then this both starting unit suddenly it like jumps up in ranks, because we don't really know what Kobe's going to do just yet. But if this is what he's going to do, then I mean, we're looking at, again, a very dynamic point guard in this league. And he's not going to be all-star level, but he's going to be really solid. And suddenly then that starting unit is going to go up the ranks, and this Bulls team is starting to look, pretty okay now, right? But I talked about it earlier. It's all about consistency with Kobe White. We saw from Kobe last year that his skill set raised. It raised significantly, but the consistency was still kind of on and off. So if he can just, be more consistent, then I know his skill set's going to take him many, many places, because it's very good. I'm surprised a bit that his handle isn't polished yet, considering he works with Dribble Too Much DeMar's trainer. Well, I will say this, because I do think that not everybody is supposed to have like the best dribbling ability in the world, even if, let's say, you work out with like a so-called dribble trainer, right? Dribble Too Much obviously took Kobe White's dribbling to like a humongous difference, right? And, everyone's like, okay, well, then get Zach on that program. And while I do think that Zach LaVine can definitely still work on his handles, we have to understand that, like, everybody's a little bit different here. And with Zach, it's probably a little bit harder for him, because he's all athleticism, and he's lengthy. His body type's a little bit different. As you know, with Kobe, he's a little bit lower to the floor, and we see that Kobe uses a lot more of his quickness instead of his athleticism. So it's a little bit hard. And so with Patrick, right, when I think about Patrick Williams, okay, like if you look at, for example, a guy like Kawhi Leonard, okay, Kawhi Leonard's dribbling is like nowhere near what some of the other, you know, small forward ball handlers are. Like, and a great example in my opinion is his teammate Paul George. Like, Paul George is, you know, with just the way that his body type is and the way his body kind of moves, like he has a really solid handle on the rock. Well, Kawhi is shorter than Paul George. It's just his body type just isn't exactly perfect for the ball handling, right? And so we see that Kawhi gets really, really, you know, kind of stiff. But what Kawhi is starting to master is the ability to do the triple threats and everything, and that doesn't require too much dribbling ability, and more so uses his body to make sure that he can get to his places. So I think maybe the next thing for Patrick is to actually kind of start thinking about, if my dribbling ability is not going to like get to the point of like a DeMar DeRozan or some of the other guys that we see in this league, then how can I start working on my footwork specifically that I can get to spots that maybe I was thinking I can dribble to, right? And that's going to help raise my game to the next level. Because to me, when I watch him drive right now, his footwork is all over the place. It looks a little choppy, and it seems like he doesn't exactly know where to place his feet when he's trying to go up for a layup attempt. So that, I think, is probably something we're going to have to start looking into, right? So I think it's something that we're going to have to start maybe thinking about. Because again, like if you think about it, like Kobe, you know, with the way his body is, it's quick. He can just basically dart everywhere, right? So handling is his best skill set. Like if you told Kobe White, hey, we're gonna make your footwork and everything and use your strength to like your ability, like that's just not gonna work for him, right? Kobe depends on his handle to get to the basket. DeMar DeRozan depends on his handle to get to his spots on the floor. With Patrick, it's probably going to have to be more with his body. It's going to have to be more with his footwork and making sure that he doesn't, you know, waste any of his energy with any taking extra steps or anything, and just maximizing every single step that he takes. That will probably get to his next step, right? So, but like I said, if that's still a work in progress with Patrick, then just shoot the ball. Because if there's anything you can do on this team right now that I know you can do and does not require any sort of work, is that he can shoot that damn ball easily. So anytime he's open, shoot the damn ball, and we'll have no issues here, because we know what he can do on the defensive end easily. Like he's great on the defensive end, and if he's gonna bring that 40% 3-point shooting on 6 attempts per game, then we have no issues. He'll be just fine. Pat still figuring out a la Kobe White 2 years ago. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Kobe looks even better. Who worked with the same trainer? Credit credits his evolution to another trainer. So I do know with Kobe that like it's not just what dribble too much, right? But I do think that it does play a role of what dribble too much does. But still, though, it's like, you know, everybody is still working on their ball handling. So yeah, Patrick is 2 years behind Kobe in a sense. But because, you know, Patrick, you know, he didn't play his sophomore year really, but I do think that it's also just important to note like how much the ball, like, you know, the body type kind of matters in this sort of situation. Because again, like I think it is a really good comparison to think about. Like Paul George, just the way that his body is, like he has great ball handling ability, but then Kawhi Leonard really doesn't. Like you don't really see Kawhi Leonard doing crossover moves and like using his ball handling to kind of go everywhere. So it kind of just matters on the player. So with Patrick, it's probably gonna be more about his body movement and his footwork and making sure that he takes advantage of his strength. So that's his next step, honestly, because that's gonna have to start coming along here if he's gonna be, you know, said like, oh, I need to go up for more layup attempts, right? Because the 48% on a layup attempt is not gonna cut it. His dunk attempts, even though he missed 23 dunks last season, it's still a pretty high percentage, but that needs to go up, obviously, because that's inexcusable to miss 23 dunks like we saw last year. Because ideally, your dunk percentage needs to go up to close to 99%. Because because you don't ever want to miss a dunk, honestly. But yeah, I this is a really solid sign for the Bulls because we do know that with Zach, with DeRozan, with Vooch, that we know what those guys are. Right now, I do think Zach can take a little bit of a jump, right? But I don't think DeMar DeRozan is going to get any better, obviously, and we know Vooch is not getting any better. So it's up to these two guys that are suddenly in the starting unit again to take that next step. And I thought we saw every bit of their skill set that can be taking the next step in this game, and that's a great sign to see for this team moving forward. So hopefully this continues. Now I do want to talk about the point guard battle because this was interesting to me. Like I said, I thought Javon Carter was going to be the starting point guard easily, and I was proven to be wrong. But we saw, if you guys have been paying attention to like the Bulls like Nashville videos, that we saw Kobe was playing with the starters a good amount of the time. So it seemed like Kobe was going to get the start, at least for today. Now the next Bulls game is going to be against Denver, and I believe that's on Thursday. I'm going to have to double check that right now. It is. So Bulls are going to be against Denver in Chicago at the United Center. Okay, my biggest interest to me is what's going to happen at the point guard spot, because, and maybe this has already been answered on Twitter, maybe Billy Donovan said something, but I won't be shocked to see if Javon Carter starts at point guard against the Nuggets, because I think that Billy is going to want to see what that sort of lineup's going to give this Bull squad with Javon Carter out there. The thing that like I said, like, I think Kobe's skill set really complements the starters well, and he complements the starters the most. Okay, now I'm not talking specifically about defense here, but what Kobe brings, okay, is that ability to drive and get to the basket and then kick out for a shooter. Okay, that's what Kobe brings that Javon Carter doesn't. The whole thing is that is Kobe going to be consistent enough to continue doing that? So far, obviously, through one game, it looks great. But I do think that Billy's going to want to see this lineup out there of Carter with the starting unit and see how it kind of works out. Because Carter, I guess you can argue, is the better shooter between him and Kobe. I mean, it doesn't really matter, honestly. I think they're both great shooters. But Carter doesn't bring that level of playmaking that Kobe White does. And on the flip side of the other court, right, Carter brings more defense. Kobe doesn't bring as much defense, right? So it'll be very interesting to see if that's going to happen. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to happen, but I won't be surprised if it does, if we suddenly see that Carter's in the starting lineup on Thursday. But that's that, honestly. I think that this is a pretty solid showing from Kobe starting, and then we'll see what happens with the point guard spot moving forward. But right now, at least from what I've seen from the Nashville videos and what people have said, and also today, to me, as of right now, the starting point guard spot is Kobe's to lose. Because I don't see anybody else is going to have any sort of shot right now to take his spot away, especially after this sort of game where he played extremely well. So it's his spot to lose as of right now. But things could obviously change moving forward here as we see potentially some different lineups out there. They just tried different PGs during preseason. Next game will be Javon or Isle. Yeah, I won't be shocked if that's the case. And here's the other thing. So the Bulls have 5 preseason games this year. I don't know. I swear to God, the Bulls only had 4 last year. Maybe I'm tripping. But with 5 preseason games, I won't be shocked to see if Alex Caruso gets to start at point guard. I really won't be shocked to see it. I don't think Billy wants to go to that lineup because I think it really limits this team offensively if he does. And I think he's aware. But I won't be shocked to see it. I think Billy might try literally every single possibility. We saw Io actually had a start, or not a start. He had played with the starting unit during this game. I think it was like about a minute of play though, so it wasn't exactly too great. But it didn't look amazing when he was with the starting unit, and he has the most experience, honestly, between everybody that's fighting for the point guard position with the starting unit. But he didn't really look too good. So I don't think Io is going to be in a starting unit, honestly, unless something dramatically changes moving forward from here. But yeah, starting unit I thought looked really good most of the game, right? I talked about the second quarter little bit where we just took too many mid-range shots and the game kind of slowed down, and that's not what we want to see, right? So hopefully that doesn't continue. That little spot in the second quarter. But second unit, so the second unit which we saw today, okay, and I'm gonna bring up a couple of guys here, or multiple lineups I should say. So we saw this lineup, right, where we had like basically the 3-guard lineup, that I was kind of saying that this was probably gonna happen, right? Where we have Alex Caruso is like technically the small forward in a sense, even though that we know he's pretty much just a guard. But we saw this lineup out here of Carter, DeSumo, AC, Craig, and Drummond. Then we did see though that at the start of the second quarter we saw Patrick Williams take Craig's spot. Okay, now I think what, at least for right now, the kind of experiment is to see if Patrick Williams can kind of quote unquote lead the second unit, which he did a pretty good job today, I will say. But the biggest thing to me is this, like, I don't know how this is necessarily going to work. I thought Carter played a very good game today. I mean, he was pushing the tempo and he shot his threes. I mean, he wasn't hesitant to shoot at all, which was great. But I don't know exactly what the plan is between all these guys here. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I thought my phone was ringing. This lineup out here, it doesn't have that much playmaking, right? I think you guys would agree with that statement, is that these 3 guys aren't exactly the greatest playmakers in the world. I think DeSumo out of the 3 guards is the best playmaker. And I'm going to be interested to see what Billy Diamond does here, because Torrey Craig is the first guy off the bench, okay? And he took over for Patrick Williams. What I won't be shocked to see is if Torrey Craig is the first guy off the bench, but then he takes over for DeMar DeRozan. And then DeMar DeRozan is going to play in the second unit and replace Patrick Williams in a sense. So instead of Craig or Williams, you could see DeRozan fit in here instead. And I won't mind that look. The other option I would like to see, and it's going to be a really small lineup if Billy does this, is that he actually takes out Levine early and goes with Levine as like the other guy in this lineup. It's a pretty small lineup, but I wouldn't mind it, because I think this is the lineup that is supposed to get out and run the floor a ton. And this then would be kind of the lineup out there. If Levine is the guy coming out though, that's going to come out early, instead of putting in Craig early, then he might take out, or he might put AC in early, and then Levine would kind of go in here, and Torrey Craig would be part of that second unit. So there's a lot of lineups that I think that Billy Diamond needs to kind of look into here for the second unit, because it kind of seems like he wants to run a 10-man rotation. I just don't know how legit that is right now, because that second unit, while it did play well for a good portion of time, it doesn't have much playmaking. And, you know, we have to be real, this Milwaukee Bucks team that was out there today is not a very good squad. So it'll be interesting to see how Billy kind of looks into the second unit. That's probably going to be something looked into more as we get closer to the season. But be paying attention to these different lineups that's going to be thrown out there, because we're going to have to go through a lot of different lineups to just kind of figure out, okay, well, what's the best combination between everybody, and we're not kind of screwing over some guys. Because I know Zach, like himself, like Zach's always been a guy that either plays he plays a lot of minutes in the first and third quarters, and then comes in like in the middle of the second and fourth quarters. So that would be a major change for him. But it might honestly be the play if this is the case. So we'll see what happens moving forward with the second unit. But overall, the second unit looked pretty solid. Again, defensively, they look really good. I thought offensively, there's a lack of playmaking, but if they have the shooting out there, which Javon Carter brings, then it might not even matter. But yeah, there's gonna have to definitely be some like kind of workaround to figure out like the lack of playmaking and such. Torrey Craig had a pretty solid game overall, with playing both with the starters and with the second unit. He took 9 shots, which is kind of crazy, but decent amount of rebounds. And I think honestly, he's just gonna fit in really well with the team. So good job by AK to get him here for the minimum, because my God, he brings a lot more than just a minimum level type contract. So I'm happy that he's here. But that's mostly what we're looking at in terms of the main guys, right? These guys basically all the way to here are the main guys that we're kind of looking into, and I think they overall look really solid. So nothing really too much to complain about in the first game. You know, things will change later on. Yeah, that's that. Now, let's talk about some of the other guys. I want to hear you guys some of the other guys here, because one guy we need to talk about is Dalen Terry. Because this is a guy that I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to lose hope. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Dalen Terry. I really want to know, and then we'll talk about some of the other guys too in just a little bit here. But Dalen Terry, your thoughts, because I'm just gonna say right now I'm a little concerned. So here's the thing, okay? I'm a big believer in Terry, okay? I should say a big believer in Terry. I think Terry's skill set brings a lot. I think he's a fantastic defender that can guard 1 through 4. I think that his length is a serious key part of his game that I really like to look at and kind of see how it's used, right? I think his passing is pretty solid, okay? Now, the thing is that a lot of people have been kind of talking about, like, well, okay, is he a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? And to me, he's always been a wing, okay? I have never really said that Dalen Terry should be a point guard. I don't think that really suits him perfectly, but I think he could be a wing that gets a lot of ball handling ability to kind of, you know, bring the ball up court, push tempo, etc. But I really don't want him to be like, you know, playmaking in the half court. Like, I don't want him to initiate the offense or anything, because I think that his cutting ability and his off-ball ability is actually pretty solid in a sense. There's obviously some things to work on, but that would be kind of what I was looking at with Dalen. And so in the lineups that he was out there with, he was either playing next to Io or next to Carlik Jones, okay? That he was pretty much playing off ball, and he did not really seem to know what he was doing. And I've always kind of said that Dalen, well, at least when Dalen was playing in Summer League, right? Like, Dalen would kind of go in between positions of being the point guard and the shooting guard in Summer League. And I've always said he looked better as a shooting guard in Summer League. But in this game, I was just like, what is happening with Dalen? Defensively, he had some moments. Like, I'm not denying that part. It's just that on the offensive end, okay, he decided to, like, you know, to run like a wing pick and roll, okay? And it just seemed like I just don't know what he's doing. Like, his decision making with the basketball, and pretty much like a quote unquote off ball situation where he doesn't initiate the offense, he gets the ball, side pick and roll, right? So he's not like initiating anything. It's just that it's the action is the side pick and roll with him, and he just does not know what to do with the ball in terms of, you know, not just shot selection, but also just decision making. He clearly still has some issues finishing at the rim, as we did see one attempt from him. I believe that it did not look good in terms of his ability to shoot, get to rim and finish. So there's that still kind of like a little bit concerned for me. But let's see. So yeah, there's this one here. But this shot here, okay, this is the shot here that I was having a serious issue with. He came off a pick and roll here. Like, it was like Sonoyo came up, set a screen, he comes off the pick and roll, and he shot it here. And I'm just like, you don't need to shoot that. And like, the shot clock wasn't winding down or anything. That just made no sense to me, honestly. He took a 3 out here, which that didn't matter too much. And another mid-range shot. Like, it just doesn't make much sense to me. And now I'm starting to think to myself, like, I don't know what Dalen's gonna necessarily be. I expected at least a little bit better of a jump at this point, but yeah, it's not really coming together for him. I know it's a lot to kind of just be like, well, what's Dalen gonna be when he hasn't really had much playing time? But I see guys that don't really get playing time much, and they take a jump, right? They take that next level that I think is important to kind of take. And with Dalen, I just don't know what's going to be right now. So my next thought, actually, here's my next crazy thought with Dalen was like, can he be like Draymond Green 2.0, right? Where he doesn't really have to even think about scoring, but like if he like bulks up and becomes a little bit bigger and like starts to kind of work on his like strength in his upper core and like work on his rebounding ability, like can he become Draymond Green 2.0, where like he can get moments where he's passing the ball, right? Because he's a very good passer. We saw that, you know, he make a pass to Justin Lewis on a cut, but he doesn't know how to dribble the ball very well, which Draymond doesn't either. And you can put Dalen in these passing situations and him being more of a screener. So instead of him being more of a wing player, he'd be more of a 4. So I'm just kind of just throwing out ideas, honestly, because this was just a little bit concerning to see overall. But yeah, I don't know. Your thoughts? All I say is AK's rookie pickups look good talent. I'll talk about some of the other pickups. Yeah, I do agree with that. Excluding Dalen Terry. Dalen needs to slow down. He's too rushed. Maybe he's too rushed. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Dalen looks weird when he tries to dribble. Like it's unnatural. Or he's forcing things, I suppose. Probably. Yeah. This I agree with you. This game was all over the place. Oh my god, the second half I was just like, what the heck is this game? But I was enjoying it. I mean, it's basketball, right? First half, I mean, well, there was some, you know, iffy moments, especially the start of the game. No one can score, but it seemed, you know, you could just definitely see the difference between the first half and the second half, where you got guys that will actually play and guys that won't play and don't really know the plays, right? But yeah. What's going on, Zay? Over, good to see you. Yeah, that could work. Dalen's 6'7". I mean, I know Draymond's also 6'7", right? Or like, you know, whatever. Draymond's like 6'6", honestly, or he's probably honestly 6'5". The thing is just the body type. It's not the same. So Dalen would have to like really work on his rebounding and interior defense to kind of be this sort of role. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a little bit concerning right now because like, even, like let's just say, for example, like let's just take Torrey Craig, right? Like let's say like Dalen's like, okay, I'm not going to dribble as much because that clearly is an issue right now, right? Like Dalen is like, okay, I'm not going to dribble as much. I'm not going to run the pick and roll as much. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So then you can play Torrey Craig, who is also 6'7" and a similar body type, right? But with Torrey Craig is that, you know, Torrey Craig, he cuts hard. He rebounds pretty well on both ends of the floor. But the one thing that separates him, at least for now, okay, and I'm not saying Torrey Craig has been a great shooter in his career, but the thing is that Dalen Terry's shooting, it looks at such an atrocious level at this point that I don't even know if he can just be decent. Like we've seen Torrey Craig have, you know, not great seasons. Let's see. So I mean, this year he shot 33%. I see a 29% his rookie year, a 32%, a 33%, right? But then we saw last year he put up the 39%, and then we've seen years where he shot 37%, right? So the thing is like Dalen's shooting right now is at such an all-time low that I don't even think he can be like a Torrey Craig in a sense. So right now, if I'm Terry, like I'm just focusing on my three-point shooting. Forget about the dribbling at this point, because then if I have that three-point shooting in me, then I can set screens hard, I can rebound efficiently, and then I can make sure that I'm still affecting the game without the basketball. But it just seems like too much of what Dalen Terry wants to bring to the game right now is with the basketball in his hand. And right now, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't think he has that ability right now. And I want to see it in Summer League, right? We got the opportunity to see him have more opportunities on ball in Summer League. It didn't look amazing, right? And he looked better when he got off ball in Summer League. So it might just be going down to like, you know, breaking down Dalen Terry's game to like the basic fundamentals of like, okay, being a cutter, rebound well, make sure that you set good hard screens and roll well, or, you know, whatever it is, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I think unfortunately for Dalen Terry, it's not like he's already like, this is the reason why I said this, by the way. Like I think people were like going nuts about this when I said this on Twitter. Like, we re-signed Io, okay, and a lot of people were like, well, we have Dalen Terry, like why would we re-sign Io? And I'm like, I would much rather know what I have with Io and then depend on Dalen Terry to kind of suddenly develop and start balling out well, right? And everyone's like, well, I'd rather take the chance with Dalen Terry. Like, this is the reason why you re-sign Io, because you know with Io, even though he struggled last year, you know he's a good finisher at the rim, you know he's a good ball handler, right? He's a really good defender. Like, he brings a lot more than what Dalen Terry can bring right now. So that's the reason why you bring back Io. And this is honestly just proving my point better, is that we don't know what we're going to get from Dalen Terry at all, and if anything, it doesn't look too good. So yeah, this is a lot of development still in play for Dalen Terry. He needs to go back down to the G League, in my opinion, this year again, and work on some things just to see what he can kind of increase stuff on. I don't know if we are in the right place to develop a Draymond-esque player. You're probably right, honestly, but if anything, though, like what it would at least do, in my opinion, is like it puts at least the player in like a mindset of like, okay, if I need to emulate a game, right, whose game would I emulate right now? And you know, if Galen is like, you know, I think I could kind of be like a Draymond Green, then you know what, then start working on it. But I'm just throwing out ideas. I'm not saying that's something that should stick. I'm just throwing it out there just to be like, hey, you know, maybe we need to start considering this, because it seems with the ball in his hands, he doesn't really know what he's doing too much. So yeah. DeMar also needs to fall back and become a playmaker, facilitator, drawing doubles, kicking out of 3-point shooters. Part of the problem with Patrick is, sorry, hold on, you're cut off from me. Hold on, I need to pop out the chat here. Part of the problem with Patrick too is, and any other player who needs. Did you finish that sentence? I don't know if you finished that sentence. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to see. Okay, develop is the ball demands what from only two, 3 players? Sorry, hold on. I'm popping out of your chat again. Alright, DeMar also needs to fall back and become a playmaker and facilitator, drawing doubles, kicking out of 3-point shooters. Part of the problem with Patrick IO is that what's the abbreviation for that? And I think the player who needs develop is the ball demand from only 2 or 3 players. I'm not entirely understanding your sentence, Zayover. What I'm saying team ball. Oh, okay. So you're saying that you think that this team needs more team ball to help develop these guys more. Is that what you're saying? So, just going on what you're saying. Okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, got it. So, here's what I'm gonna say. Okay, like if this Bulls team, okay, is not gonna go ahead and hit the rebuild button, which they aren't. Okay, you could still develop guys to be good players, right? Even though that they have, you know, guys ahead of them in the pecking order. Okay, we know that Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic are all ahead of Patrick Williams and Kobe White in the pecking order. Okay. But what can still happen, okay, is even though that these guys aren't getting enough shot or not as many shot attempts, right? Or if you think they're not getting enough, like you can still develop these guys into developing a game that is going to be very, very good no matter what type of system they're under, whether they're the main focal point or they're just a fourth option. Okay, now I do agree with you that I think that DeMar DeRozan needs to do a better job this season as a playmaker, right? But I think I could say that about every single player of the big 3, okay? Like, I think every single player of the big 3 needs to do a better job at facilitating, right? But it's more so about that them, you know, it's less about like, okay, we need to make sure Patrick Williams needs to get a shot. They need to make sure that they draw in the defense and collapse the defense in the correct area and then kick it out for those guys. The thing is, though, is that my big issue is that I think people have been kind of saying like, well, DeMar DeRozan needs to kick it out to Patrick Williams more, and he needs to, or Zach needs to kick it out to these guys more. If you actually look at the numbers, okay, the actual numbers say that the Bulls generated a lot of good 3-point looks last season. Okay, the problem was that these guys didn't take the shots. Patrick Williams didn't take enough 3-point shots last year, and he, in my opinion, could have 100% taken more shots. So, while I do agree with you that the playmaking needs to be better from mostly DeMar DeRozan, and also Nikola Vucevic has said such a thing, right? these guys then also on the receiving end of it all, they need to make sure that they're taking the shots to, maximize every bit of the playmaking that the big three do, in a sense, right? So I understand what you're saying, but it's not just DeMar DeRozan has to be a playmaker or more of a playmaker. It's also that these guys that you're saying that DeMar DeRozan needs to pass to, they have to take the shots, because last season and seasons prior, they did not take shots when they were open, okay? And I would even argue in this game that Patrick Williams actually decided to not take a 3-point shot, which he should have taken. I'm not going to harp him in too much because he took 6 threes, but that can't happen with these guys if we're going to say they need to develop more. So I think that's something we need to also make sure that we keep in mind, that it's not solely on DeMar DeRozan for Patrick's lack of development, okay? It's also on Patrick Williams himself to be a good player and develop well. Yeah. Yeah, hell, what's going on MC season? Did you watch game MC season? I don't know. Team ball isn't really gonna win games anymore. When you mean team ball specifically, what are you trying to say? Like, are you saying like like more assists or something, or are you saying like, oh, we need to make sure everyone gets like 15 shots? Because if you're saying like, oh, I don't think if everyone gets 15 shots, then yeah, we're not going to win. Because I would agree with you with that statement. Like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, they need to still continue to take the same amount of shots. I mean, like I just want to point out to you guys, like these guys, like they don't really take a lot of shots compared to like their scoring average. Like let's just take Zach for example. Zach took 18 shots last season. Okay, that's not a lot. DeRozan, he took less shots than Zach. He took 17. Okay. Now let's go to a guy like Donovan Mitchell. Okay, let's see what did Donovan take. Donovan took 21 shots last season. He averaged more points, but like my point is that Donovan Mitchell, when he averaged 26, was taking 20 and a half shots. When he averaged 24, he took 20 shots. Like these guys kind of really don't take that many shots in general for as good of a scoring average that they have, right? It just, what I do agree that I think that playmaking for both LaVine and DeRozan, and also including Vucevic, needs to be better, but it's more so in terms of how they're drawing in the defense and make sure that they're getting into the teeth of the lane and then kicking it out, because what that does is that it helps swing the ball around easier. But if you're telling me that they need to sacrifice shots in a sense, I don't know if that's really going to help this team. I think this team does not need them to sacrifice shots right now. I think that Patrick Williams and Kobe White also, and some of the other guys, they just need to shoot the ball because shots are available. They're very much there. Any thoughts on Bitum? Or Bitim? I guess I've been saying it wrong, but I'll get to that in a little bit here. Yeah, I have some thoughts on him. But that's the problem. We need to keep the defense guessing. We play the game in the same manner every game, so it's predictable. We need to shake it up. Well, I think this is the whole point of this whole what today was, is that like the shake up today, right, was that we took 12 threes in the first quarter. And what that does is that keeps the defense guessing that it's not just going to be DeRozan, LaVine, and Kobe White shooting threes in the first, or sorry, DeRozan, Vucevic, and LaVine shooting all the shots in the first quarter. I mean, just look at this shot chart, just, overall from the first quarter, okay? So LaVine took 5, DeRozan took 4, and we see Kobe White took 4, we saw Torrey Craig took 5. Like, this is just from the first quarter alone. If you play with the pace, and you play with that identity of playing with more space and pace, right? That's going to change the overall shots on your team. So it still will feature, LaVine, DeRozan, Vucevic the most. They're going to have the ball in their hands the most. But what it does is that it gives these guys other opportunities to start shooting more, and that will be the identity change that this team desperately needs, right? That's what this team, if you're saying that this team plays in the same manner every single game, well, here's the difference, right? Playing faster, shooting threes whenever you're open, right? You're not, like, if a guy's open, right, you gotta just let it fly. You're not even gonna think about, I need to pass it back to DeRozan for an isolation attempt here, right? We saw, like, even Torrey Craig. Like, Torrey Craig is not the greatest three-point shooter, even though, he shot 39% last year. That's not gonna continue. But he just was like, okay, I'm open, I'm taking the shot, because that's how you change your identity, right? when it comes to the half-court offense, we know that this team is not going to change, I think, too much in terms of shot attempts from players. But when it comes to everybody else in transition, that could be the big change, where we see Patrick Williams get more shots, where we see Torrey Craig get more shots. Like, Pat only played 4 minutes in that first quarter, so he only got 1 shot. Now, second quarter, he took 5, right? That's a big difference, right? And that's because they were playing with more pace. That's because they're getting out in transition more. And also then he wasn't afraid to shoot the 3 ball when he got it because he took 4 threes. That's the change, right? That's what this team desperately needs for this team to change its identity. How does Carter look to you? I think Carter looks fantastic. To me, the biggest thing that Carter is bringing right now is that he is not afraid to shoot that ball no matter what. He also continued to play with a good amount of pace when he was leading that second unit, which is very, very important. You cannot have that second unit play slower when they come in, right? So Carter does a really good job of pushing the ball. And I'm happy to see, like, he took 7 shots, but 4 threes. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. And then his other shots, I believe 2 of them were in the paint, right? The one thing about Jevon Carter I'm going to be watching this year is that I don't really know how good he's going to be finishing at the rim, but this game he showed me that he could do pretty well. If you just look at Jevon Carter's overall shot chart, right? He's a sniper from 3-point land. Like, he just straight up is. I mean, just look at how many threes he takes. The problem is that when you get at the rim, he shoots only 54%. So this is kind of like my big thing. I mean, he shot 43% on layups last season. That needs to go up. But today he made 2 layups that I don't think were necessarily easy. So overall, this is a really good solid showing from him. I expect just basically the same throughout the season, where he's shooting a lot of threes and pushing the pace, which is desperately something that we need, right? I'm kind of surprised he didn't try Torrey Craig and Patrick together. I think we actually did see it for a little bit. I think the start of the third quarter was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was Kobe White, Jevon Carter, Patrick Williams, Torrey Craig, and Andre Drummond. I think that was the 5 out there. So we did see a little bit of it. It wasn't a lot, but we got a little bit of it. Yeah. Let's see. I would like to see them try against a team that's bigger lineup. I do think that'd be a really good lineup against a bigger team. Like, you know, I maybe the Milwaukee Bucks might be a good idea, but like, let's see here. Like, let's say you're facing the Timberwolves, right? I think that'd be like a really solid idea, honestly. Yeah. Let's see. Zach and Vuce always pass. DeMar never passes Zach for easy catch, open catch and shoot. I wouldn't say he never passed to Zach, but I do think that DeMar does need to do a little bit better job of knowing when Zach is open. I will agree with that statement. To say never, I don't think is entirely correct, but I think he does need to do a better job. Yeah. We need Zoe back. We were first seed with them. I mean, look, I understand we were first seed was with Lonzo, and look, Lonzo brings a ton to this team, right? And I've talked about this so many times with Lonzo that it's not necessarily his playmaking with this team that is so important, it's his shooting. The dude shot 42% from 3-point range when he was here. That to me is the most important part about it. And then obviously in transition, I think he is literally one of the top 5 players in transition in the game today when he's fully healthy. I genuinely believe that Lonzo Ball is one of the best players in transition in the game today. But the thing with Lonzo that he doesn't necessarily like bring is like he doesn't really finish around the rim too well, right? Which I think is something that this team still also kind of still has an issue with, even if he is here, right? I mean, look, he doesn't really shoot from there in general, right? 59 shot attempts, he just doesn't get there in the first place. Let's see, his layups 53%. That's not great, right? But his 3-point percentage, right, is shooting 42%. Like, that is a humongous loss if you're talking about a team that already doesn't shoot enough threes. So obviously defensively you can guard literally any position, but I mean, look, here's what I'm going to say. I understand that Lonzo is a humongous loss to this squad and you can't replace him, but that team for the Bulls, let's say Lonzo stayed healthy all year, I don't think the Bulls are a first seed with Lonzo Ball that year. I understand that we were playing very well and we went on a pretty long winning streak, but I still think that team drops down to like 3rd or 4th or 5th at the end because this team still isn't good enough, right? Now, with some of the changes, or specifically that team wasn't good enough, right? They had very little depth on that team. Now, with the changes with getting Torrey Craig, getting Javon Carter, the development of Io, and now seeing the development of Kobe White and Patrick Williams, right? Because remember, Patrick Williams that year wasn't playing, right? He wasn't playing until the last 17 games of the season. So, like, again, another big loss in a sense. But with the development of these guys, right, like, it is incredibly important to see these guys develop. And I do think that they can get back to being in at least a conversation of being in the top 5 for the East if these guys are developing, right? Even if, let's say, Zoe was here right now, let's say he was fully healthy and, you know, he's bringing what he usually brings, okay? I don't think he becomes an all-star or anything. Let's just say he brings his typical 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and fantastic defense and great shooting, okay? I think this team is pretty much still, like, their ceiling is still top 4. Or, sorry, fourth seed. Because they're not being the Bucks, they're not being the Celtics, and they're not being the 76ers, even with Lonzo Ball here. But what I do think that they could do is they could get to being a 4 seed and home court advantage the first round and get into the second round pretty well. But what it would still require is obviously the development of these guys, and then for them to take the even bigger jump into then the contending level. If they're not going to make a humongous move, it will require Patrick Williams or Kobe White to become like a big time player. Like, we're talking them making that all-star level leap to where they're you know, really solid with at their position, that you could argue that they're top 15, like top 12 at their position, right? So I think that it's so important no matter what to be developing these guys. But Lonzo obviously would help this team a lot, but I don't think this team gets to be a first seed if Lonzo Ball is here. And I would still argue that last year, because they didn't have the depth last year either, that they would have also, even if Lonzo Ball was healthy, they would have been like an 8 or 7 seed last year, because it wasn't enough overall. So again, development is key here. Even if Lonzo was here, they still got to develop these guys, and I truly hope that Kobe and Patrick Williams are the guys that do step up and take a serious leap. Kobe today, man, I mean, he put up 14, 6, and 6, and he played 22 minutes. Now, if he played 36, I want to know what those numbers are, because could he get to 20 and 10? Because if that's the case, then suddenly we're looking at an all-star point guard every single night. Like, if he's doing that every single night, right? If he puts up 20 and 8 every single night, I mean, we're looking at an all-star type point guard. So that would be a ridiculous leap if he can do that. I don't think he can, but that would be the leap necessary for this team to get to that next level of being into the contending level status, right? So something to watch out for. And yes, I do miss Lonzo. I'm very upset that he can't play right now, because I do think it would be nice to see him play with this squad. Carter was great. I do agree. Carter was really good. Second round exit tops. I agree with that statement. Yeah, I think that this team, if Lonzo was fully healthy and kind of where guys are currently at, second round exit. You know. And by the way, if you don't know my prediction, so my prediction is 46 wins this season. So basically replicating what the Bulls did in the first year Lonzo, AC, and DeRozan were here, right? And I'm predicting 6th seed. So I think this team avoids the play-in tournament, but I just don't see enough of a jump from the younger guys to like put them into like the top 4. Unfortunately, I would love to see it, but I'm not seeing it right now. So there's a long ways to go. Now, look, just because I don't think this team's a contender does not mean that like I think this team's not important, right? I think that no matter what sort of year it is for you, like I'm not a person that's like championship or bust or anything like that, unless you commit a serious amount of future assets, which the Bulls haven't, right? I mean, I understand that we're down a pick, and we still have our 2025 picks going to San Antonio, but like the Bulls still have assets available to them. It's not a lot, but it's still some available. So development is extremely crucial for this team moving forward, and today's a good start, right? I think today is a fantastic start in terms of development for this team moving forward. It's got to continue. It has to continue with this team, no matter what. All right, a couple other things here. So, who was it? Someone mentioned Bateem. Who was that? Am I blind? Oh, Sandroko, are you still here? So yeah, I am very, very impressed with Onorlop. I guess it's Bateem. I've been saying Bitum, so I do apologize if that's incorrect. But yeah, okay, cool. They don't even have a page for him, I guess. That's interesting. But Bateem, I'm looking forward to kind of paying attention to him throughout this entire year. Bateem is on a 2-way contract, so he'll be down in the G League for most of the year. He is 24 years old, okay? But he had 2 threes today, and I think those 2 threes actually really showed, like, he is a serious shooter. And this is something that we all kind of knew with him, is that he can shoot the ball. So that to me is not, like, you know, that's not in question at all. And, you know, because he can shoot the ball already this good, I wouldn't mind him actually on the actual roster, but I do think that there are some things that are going to prevent that. Obviously, you know, when you get a Javon Carter, who can also shoot 40% from 3, you're not going to play Bateem over Carter. So, like, there's people ahead of him. But when it comes to Bateem, okay, I've looked into some of his videos, and just so you guys are aware, I am planning to make a Bateem video, okay? I'm definitely intrigued by this guy, okay? I know that some of you, I think it was MC Season, were interested in making a Bateem video. I did not. Obviously haven't done that yet, but I do plan on making one before the G League season starts, because I am going to be paying attention to him. The thing is with him, at least from like the little video I have seen from him, okay, his defense is definitely suspect. Okay, his defense is a little bit suspect right now, and he has to really work on making sure that he's not letting guys cross him up right, and make sure that if a guy is going to be cutting hard, that he doesn't allow them to get inside position. The other thing too with him is that I don't really know what sort of dribbler he is. He had that turnover where he got the rebound, or maybe he didn't get the rebound, but he got the ball in the backcourt and was like pushing it, and he got stripped from behind. I don't really know who stole it from him, but like his ball handling, at least from what I've seen, it's not exactly the best. Okay, so I don't really know exactly what his ceiling would be in terms of a player right now. I have to look into more video with him, but the biggest thing is that if he's coming off a screen, he can shoot it well. If he's spot up shooting, he can shoot it. The big question is, like, what's the next step for him? Can he do a pick and roll, right? And can he drive hard to the basket without losing the basketball? His athleticism is extremely underrated, okay? I think his athleticism is something that people don't really know about him. He is very athletic of a player. He can really get up there just of his verticality, and he can really move up in the air. I think he moves pretty well. The thing is I think Noel just kind of mentioned it, like, he's a little too slow right now. So I think some footwork needs to get put in play. The thing is, like, I do agree that he might be a little bit too slow, but that hasn't stopped guys from, in a sense of being slow, from being able to get to the basket, right? I think a good example of this is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not the most athletic player. He's not the fastest player by any means, but his ability to dribble the basketball and use his footwork to make sure he gets to his spots, you know, he can finish easily, right? So it's about making sure that the footwork is good. I want to see how good he is with the basketball, but today, pretty good showing. And honestly, unfortunately for him, I think this might be the only showing we get of him during preseason. But if this was it, this is good, because I know 100% that he can hit that 3-point shot. And it didn't really seem like the pace of the play of the NBA was too big of a scare for him, which that is always something I'm always concerned about with anybody that comes over from the EuroLeague, or I guess he's not even EuroLeague, like he's the league under EuroLeague, right? So that is something of a concern, but he looked fine out there. So I'm happy to really see it. Push the boat, yeah. Bettine wouldn't play PG. He would play small forward shooting. Oh yeah, 100%. He's not a point guard. He's not a point guard, right? He would 100% be playing the wing position, and he has the size and jumping ability to do so. Yeah. Two-time dunk champion, 38-inch vertical. He just has to adapt to NBA speed and physicality. I would even say the physicality was really messing with him. It just seems like that he doesn't really have the perfect fundamentals yet with the basketball in his hand when he comes to dribbling, right? But I think that's something to get worked out. Yeah. Let's see. I think if he can become a Duncan Robinson-esque player, he would be a last play type of threat. I can definitely see that. Yeah. The only thing that I don't want to put that Duncan Robinson type like idea on him, because Duncan Robinson can't really I shouldn't say that. You know, that's a good comparison, because I do think Duncan Robinson actually has done a better job recently of being able to actually dribble the basketball, get past the defender, and being able to actually just finish at the rim, right? The one thing about Duncan Robinson that I was always just kind of questioning with him is like, okay, well, I know you can shoot the ball really well, but let's say you come off that pin down and you have a lane to the basket. Are you able to actually finish? And I think he's done a better job with it, honestly. Let's see here. So layups, I mean, it's not a lot, but I mean, this is better than what we've seen before. I mean, let's just look at the previous year for him. I mean, so in his previous year, he shot 62% from layups. It's not as many attempts though. At the rim is 68%. Go back to this season. I know he didn't play a lot this year, unfortunately, because his defense was such a liability for Miami, and his 3-point percentage suddenly took a massive dip this year, which is just really odd to see. He's had some years actually that were pretty solid. So yeah, I'll say Duncan Robinson's a pretty decent comparison. Yeah. But I think because of the team's body, like, I think he could be a much better finisher than what Duncan Robinson is currently right now. So I would hope that is the case, where he's using his verticality and his athleticism to really take advantage of inside opportunities that are given to him. So yeah, good comparison, Noel. Yeah. We'll see how he develops, honestly, because I do think the team's going to be a player that we're going to have to look into moving forward. Shooting goes a long way. I mean, we've seen so many guys that are not good defenders that can just shoot the ball and are not very good at finishing at the rim, and they go a long way. So if the team's gonna really not, if he's not gonna be able to increase his other parts of his game, if he can just be a sniper, then that's all it honestly takes for him to get to an NBA contract. So we'll keep an eye on him for sure. And I will be making a video about him before the G League season starts. So before he plays for the Windy City Bulls, I will be making a video on him, just to kind of make sure we're paying attention to him, because I do think he will be someone in the future that will be on this Bulls roster. And hopefully playing a significant role. We'll see how it works out for him, though. Yeah, that's that. So that's the team. Other guys I do want to just quickly talk about here. Carlik Jones did not look very good. I'm not gonna fully blame him. I know someone tweeted at me about Carlik, and I responded I do think Carlik Jones is a pretty solid player. He played for South Sudan and the FIBA stuff, and he looked really good. So I know today did not look good for him, but let's also keep in mind that he was playing with a bunch of guys that really don't know how to play basketball very well. So I'm not going to harp him too much. It did not look good from Carlik Jones today. He looked a little loose with the basketball, but I do think that's going to get better for him over time. Good to see Justin Lewis out there. I think seeing Justin Lewis is good to see. He clearly needs to work on his 3-point shooting or something, because he airballed that 3. But I think for him, it's just about getting his timing back, because he hasn't really played that much at all after he tore his, I believe, his ACL. So he just needs to get some reps in, and obviously, G League play is going to help him a lot. I was very surprised by Adama Sanogo. I will admit, I think Sanogo actually really surprised me today. His finishing at the rim still needs some work, which I'm not surprised at. I mean, he's obviously a rookie, but his mobility as a guy that's that big, okay, I know he's not the tallest guy, but he's a big dude. I mean, he's a big, powerful dude. His mobility actually is really solid. I mean, I saw him set good screens and roll hard and move well, right? But then I also saw him, like, he actually set, like, he did like a slip screen, and like he's getting a step on his defender when he does like a little slip screen action. So his movement is actually really impressing me. And I do think that, like, Summer League, like, there were moments in Summer League where he didn't look too good, but then he also had some pretty good overall bright spots. But I do think that playing with NBA level type players, I think it's actually going to help him actually a little bit more, because not as much attention is going to be drawn to him. So he can kind of just move around a little bit better and kind of fill in spaces. I was actually really impressed with him today. So that's another guy we'll be watching, obviously, in the G League. So we'll be paying attention to him. Why are both fans stressing over a preseason game? I liked it because I got to watch my favorite team play in general and make some improvements on the court. I mean, look, I'm not stressing about this at all. I would be stressing if, let's say, the Bulls offense looked terrible, right, and there was no real change. But yeah, I'm not stressing about a preseason game at all. I know that some people are upset about the score. To me, it's all about process over results, and I thought the process overall today was pretty solid. So I'm not stressing at all. I'm happy, and I'm with you, Magugla, that I just wanted to watch basketball, honestly, and we got to see the Bulls play in a very long time, so I'm happy just about that. Julian Phillips is also interesting. He can jump. Oh yeah, and Julian Phillips is also the guy that I was really interested in. So he did airball the three, so that's a little concerning. But it is just one attempt, and I'm not going to be too hard on him about it. But Julian Phillips, okay, he's already shown me the ability to get to the basket, okay. And look, this is, I've kind of harped on Patrick Williams a little bit for this, and we've seen it for some other guys, that it's not just about, getting to the basket with the basketball. It's also about being able to cut hard, or, you're on a fast break opportunity and like you're coming down the lane, right? You have to have the ability to still get to the rim and finish, right? Now, we've seen guys before where they're cutting hard, they get the basketball, and then they can't even get to the rim in the first place. Julian Phillips has shown me that he can seriously get to the rim. The next part about him is, can he finish at the rim, okay? So the fact that we're past step one is huge, in my opinion, because that was also that I was concerned with, is like, okay, well, can he get to the rim consistently? He can get to the rim. There's no question about it right now that he can easily get to the rim. It's now the next part is finishing through traffic. And that to me is going to be something we're going to have to look into as he gets older. But to me, if he just puts in the core strength, because a lot of the people talked about is like, a lot of guys, when they actually get to the rim, they just don't have the core strength to go up and actually finish the ball. Phillips is obviously, he's 19, so I mean, I'm not expecting him to have the core strength, right? But if he takes the time to put in that core strength with his verticality, which we know very well is very, very good. It's the highest of the draft combine, right? His length at 6'8", I mean, I have no question he's gonna be able to finish at the rim. So like this is a really solid signing, overall sign from Julian Phillips in just this game. The next part, obviously, with him is being able to shoot the ball, but his length was a serious part of the game on the defensive end of the court. I mean, I saw him; he was guarding a lot of guys, and it didn't matter if he was on a guard or a bigger dude. His length was playing a serious factor, so I was happy to see that. I also thought that, so he got credit for one block, I believe. Was it two? No, he got 2 blocks. Yeah, I was about to say, like, he had 2 blocks this game, and I was impressed with really both of them. So Julian Phillips, I've talked about him. I made the video on him, right? He's a very, very good defender already on the perimeter, especially in the isolation opportunities. But then when he's guarding a bigger dude, he looked just fine in college. So if this continues, I mean, I'm looking at easily, like, think of like I guess this is not the best comparison, but I made this comparison already to like Patrick Williams in terms of like shot attempts, right? Because This guy right here, he's the fourth option on the Denver Nuggets. He's playing with the MVP caliber player, and he still averages 16.3 points per game. He only takes 11 attempts per game, and he puts up 16 points a game. And I know Aaron Gordon is not like, the best scorer in the world, right? So if Julian Phillips can like kind of look into like this sort of guy, like how explosive Aaron Gordon is, and like looking at how the Nuggets, they don't really feature Aaron Gordon at all, and he puts up points still. So, and Aaron Gordon's not the best shooter, by the way. So if this is kind of like a good emulation for Julian Phillips, I mean, I'm looking at like our future 4-man if Patrick Williams is like our 3-man. So I would hope that would be the case for Julian Phillips, but like, we're a long ways to go. But this was some really encouraging stuff. His summer league didn't look too good for Julian Phillips specifically, but I think we've kind of talked about it already, how like summer league isn't exactly the best showing for especially a rookie. I would assume it did not look good in summer league at all, and he obviously came out and played really well. So yeah, just honestly, I'm really impressed to see the stuff from Phillips. If he just works on his core strength, I mean, there's a lot on his plate to kind of work in that core strength, but if he does that, man, yeah, I'm really excited about him moving forward. If he gained mass while redeveloping that shot, he can also be a solid player. Do you see him? Did you see adjustment air for a layup? Don't remember if he made it though. So yeah, he did not make that layup attempt that you're talking about specifically. But I know exactly what you're talking about. But like that readjustment midair, like that's impressive to me. Like not a lot of people can even do that. But yeah, he did not make that shot attempt, unfortunately. But like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff from him just from these like small sample sizes. But his footwork, unfortunately, in this shot, I wonder if we can actually go to it. Was that? I believe that was fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But no, it was third quarter actually. Okay, so his footwork wasn't exactly great. Let's command F this. See here. Blah, blah, blah. Did I miss it? All right, 107 in the third quarter. Okay, let's just like okay, hold on. I have to go back to my library of Bulls games here. Sorry, hold on. I'm pulling up stuff. No, it's scheduled. Here we go. Let's go look at this from Julian Phillips here. So 107-ish. Right. So okay, yeah. All right. So move on. We don't need to see this. Oh no, wait, we just passed it. Okay. So let's watch this play out, because this is the part that with Julian Phillips, this is the part that it needs to get fixed with him. So I don't know exactly like the best shooting coach, but we know the Bulls have suddenly hired a bunch of development guys in the coaching staff. So that's important to look at here. Okay. So first off, just the good part of this. Okay. Phillips moved from here to here. Okay. Am I back? I'm hope I'm back here. God, I do apologize. I don't know what that was. If you guys can hear me, which I hope you guys can, thumbs up emoji. Do this in chat, please. I appreciate you, Noel, for asking that. I didn't even recognize that the stream stopped until you said that, so my bad. Sorry, hold on. Okay, yeah. I should be good. I need someone to confirm on their end though that I'm alright. I guess my OBS crashed. Huh. All right. I'm not too sure, honestly. Here. I'm on my alt account here, so let me just look into this. Yeah. So I'm up. All right. Cool. All right. Seems like we're good. All right. Appreciate it, Noel. All right. Just want to double check that was all working out. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what that was, honestly. So when I was looking at my OBS, it seemed like my OBS just straight up crashed. It was saying like, oh, no data is being sent, and I'm just like, what? So yeah, the stream pretty much was like, it just stopped. It pretty much just stopped sending any sort of data to YouTube, and I don't know why. But that's a little bit concerning. All right, hold on. I know you guys can't see what I just pulled up here, as I turned off Chrome and everything, and I turned on hardware acceleration, so I had to go turn that off again. Actually, hold on. You guys should still hear me. I don't know if you guys can still hear the audio, but I'm hiding my screen to turn off hardware acceleration and relaunching Chrome here. All right, you guys should still be able to see me now. Hold on. I want to double check that. All right, you guys should still be able to see
in
me
preseason,
now.
you know, Rob, like there's not a whole lot of continuity.
I want to double check that. I want to make sure.
In preseason, you know, Rob, like there's not a whole lot of continuity.
All right, good. All right, we're back. I want to make sure. Back to being good as new here. Close out of this now. Okay. All right, we're back. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I turned on my preview settings for audio, so you're here double. All right, let's talk about this here. So you guys should be able to see all of this now. You guys should be able to see the screen for the gameplay. Let's go ahead. I want to show you guys Julian Phillips's base when he shot this ball, and then I do want to run over one play with you guys that I really liked that the Bulls ran, and after that, I think honestly we're gonna go ahead and end stream here, and then I'm actually gonna start working on a YouTube video talking about this game that obviously, you know, a lot of it's kind of been mentioned in this vid already, but I do want to kind of point out some things in the offense that I really liked that I want to point out and say, hey, the Bulls need to do more of this moving forward. Okay, sorry. Hello, Jason Benetti, but we don't want sound right now. So let's watch this play here. Okay, this is Julian Phillips' air ball on his three. So like I said earlier, you guys didn't hear it. So I was talking about before stream crashed that Phillips was here, right, and he needed to actually move up to here. This is the correct play with him moving up to in this position. Reason why is because when Io is going down the lane, okay, it's harder to make this little corner pass here because you have Terry Taylor here, and he's bringing in a guy into the lane. It's also important for Phillips to move out this way because if he stands here and he catches it here, Thanasis is actually guarding him, and he came down to guard Phillips. But if Phillips is here, Thanasis came down to guard Terry Taylor. And it's important for Phillips to stay here because if Phillips stays here and Thanasis goes down to guard Taylor, if the pass is thrown to the corner, then this is actually a shorter distance for him to recover to, right? So it's important that Phillips goes up into the break of the corner or break of the 3-point line to get this shot. So this is a really good overall play by Phillips to get into this position. Here's the thing. it's a little hard to see it because unfortunately stuff is blocking everything, but his base just doesn't look that great. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and just watch the shot. It's better from what we've seen before, okay, but to me this base is still just a little bit too wide. And if he can kind of make sure that he's a little bit more square to the basket, then I think he'll honestly be fine. But the next step, as we've been talking about with Phillips, is that, like I talked about, how I think he can get to the rim with ease. I think he has a verticality, and then he'll eventually get the strength to finish at the rim easily. But it's all about then the three-point shot moving forward, because we talked about his defense. I think his defense is also very solid, no matter if he's guarding the perimeter or he's guarding in the interior, a guy that's bigger than him. It's about him then getting that three-point shot to start working, because that will be his way into getting some heavy minutes. His defense, honestly, you could argue just gets him on the floor already, but he still has a long way to go in terms of his finishing ability. And once he does that, then we'll see him, honestly, I think, play in a year or so. And reminder, he is under contract for 4 years. The Bulls did not mess up this contract, luckily. So I know a lot of people don't like this screen brought up, but I look at this constantly. But Julian Phillips is he's under contract for 4 years, so we don't have to really worry about him at all in terms of contract situations moving forward here. So I want to talk about, no, this is not it. Sorry, hold on. This is not what I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to move back in the quarter here. There's this. Okay, cool. All right, we're almost there. Sorry. Okay, cool. Here we go. This is the play I wanted to talk about. All right, so as I said, I am going to be doing a video from this game going over it's a straight up film breakdown video, okay? So be on the lookout for that. It should be coming out before the Nuggets game. It might unfortunately come out on Wednesday, but we'll see. But this is a play that I want to bring up on stream because I love this play. This is a really well drawn up play by Billy Donovan. And like, this is the part that it bothers my mind, because like I've criticized Donovan, and like I give coaches a lot of credit because of what they do is an incredible job, okay? But I harp on Donovan a lot on his offense because I just don't think the plays that are run are very, very good sometimes. And this is a play here that I'm like, hey, run more of this. And you don't have to just use Kobe in a sort of situation, because you could also use Zach. You could use a lot of other players in this scenario, okay? Let's watch this play go ahead and happen here, because I think this is a phenomenally well drawn up play here, okay? So Torrey Craig brings up the ball, okay? We're gonna throw it over to Patrick Williams, all right? You can already see here what's happening, okay? This is really solid of an idea from Billy here. You're putting these three guys, okay? These three guys on the same side of the floor, okay? Now, this automatically is kind of looking as if, okay, we're gonna have a Drummond pick and roll, and we're gonna go this way, and then we'll see what these three guys kind of do. But these guys have a lot of options, right? You can see Torrey Craig can cut hard. Javon Carter is going to potentially go up for a 3-point shot, right? And then obviously Kobe's a 3-point shot or a 3-point threat himself, right? So when we watch this play here, okay, it's a pick and roll for Patrick Williams to come off of a Drummond screen, okay? This is really, really good, okay? Now, as this is happening, okay, so pick and roll, Drummond, he will, okay? As all this is happening here, okay, let's keep an eye on Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig is going to be clearing out as all this is happening, okay? What this does is that this occupies his defender, so that his defender is not going to be involved in this pick and roll situation. We want to try to get Robin Lopez, and I believe this is Jay Crowder, kind of all in alone on this, and just make sure that they have no help in sight here, okay? So as this is going to happen, so strong side, we call this, again, this is the strong side of the floor. With the ball on whatever side of the floor it is, that's the strong side. This is the weak side, okay? We're going to see Kobe White, if I'm not mistaken, he comes up and sets a flare screen for Javon Carter, okay? Javon Carter is then going to come over and have to take this screen, and this takes away his defender out of this scenario, okay? So let's watch this play out. Okay, here's Kobe. Now look, the screen and roll from Drummond has already been set. Patrick Williams is taking the screen. We see Torrey Craig started up here. He's cleared out, okay? Now, we see Drummond, after setting the screen, is starting to move over this way, okay? As I said, Kobe White's going to set a flare screen for Javon Carter to come off of. And as all this is happening, okay? You've seen Drummond is coming over. He's going to set then a screen for Kobe White, who was the initial screener for Javon Carter, okay? So, we see this play out here, okay? Look at how confused the Milwaukee Bucks are right now, okay? Pat Connaughton, and I don't know who this is, unfortunately. But these two guys, this is Ty Washington, isn't it? These two guys were extremely confused. Like, they had no idea what to do here. And you know what? It probably should have been a switch, okay? But even let's say this was a switch, then Drummond's here coming over and setting a screen for Kobe White to come off of for a three-point shot, okay? The biggest part about this is that you see where Robin Lopez is stuck right now. Robin Lopez is in no man's world, and he had to make sure on the initial action that Patrick Williams wasn't getting late to the rim, and he had no help because Torrey Craig was coming through in the initial play here and clearing out his defender and taking his defender with them. This guy right here, I don't know who this is, unfortunately. He was not involved in this play whatsoever. So Robin Lopez had to make sure that Patrick Williams was not going to come over here and get a line drive to the rim. Therefore, Robin is in no man's land. He is nowhere near where Andre Drummond is, okay? And so Drummond's going to set this screen, okay? And Kobe White's going to come off of it, and there is nobody in the world that is able to catch up to Kobe White in this scenario. Wide open three-point look. Look how late Robin Lopez is. Perfect shot. This is a fantastically drawn-up play, okay? And you can, honestly, you could run the same play for when the starters are out there. Have Zach be the Kobe White instead. You have DeMar DeRozan handling the ball. Like, it would work out great. But we don't see this consistently enough, right? This play overall was such a great play, and I was so happy to see it because this showed you an emphasis on the three-point shot. Now, here's the thing, okay? Let's say, for example, let's say let's say Robin Lopez somehow read it and was next to Andre Drummond here, okay? This action here should at least still get these defenders kind of like hesitant to kind of come up with Kobe. That if, let's say Kobe comes off the screen and Robin Lopez is here to meet him, okay? Let me draw this better. So let's say Kobe comes off the screen and Robin Lopez is here to meet him better, okay? Then Andre Drummond has a wide open lane to the rim, okay? Like, there's so many things then you can do if, let's say, the initial shot for Kobe isn't here. You can then look for Andre Drummond to then just go hard to the basket for a lob or just a dump off pass, whatever you want, right? And let's say for some reason then that's taken away, there's probably a mismatch somewhere, okay? Robin Lopez is probably then on Kobe White or who knows what, okay? And then you can just go ahead and let Kobe White drive right past him. Like, there's so many options you could still do. And let's say somehow they guard this perfectly where then, you know, Pat Connaughton is still on Kobe White and Robin Lopez is still on Andre Drummond, okay? You go to your second action. There's 15 seconds left on the shot clock. You can still do whatever you want in this possession. So this play was such a good breath of fresh air for me because this is something that I don't really think that the Bulls have run enough of. And I think that this is something that Billy Donovan needs to do a better job of. And, you know, with this play here, good start, right? Still some ways to go here for Billy, right? But this is a good start. Last play I want to talk to you guys about here is, forgot how bad the start of this game was for so many guys, unfortunately. Hello? Sorry, don't know why that took forever. First play of the game, okay? And you will see these two plays in the video I'm planning on doing, but there's more plays I want to bring up in the video. But let's just watch this, okay? So, first play of the game, Bulls get the tip. Already, okay, rip screen for Zach to go down. Perfect, love it. This potentially opens up a cutting lane for Zach. Now, automatically, you're kind of already seeing how Vooch is going to be used differently. Like, this wasn't really something we saw. Like, we saw kind of Vooch, like, kind of hang around this area a lot, but it wasn't like he was really setting many screens for off-ball guys to kind of go ahead and cut, and then you're going to see him kind of be used in the middle of this action as, like, the playmaker in a sense, okay? So, Zach, go ahead, cut down here, rip screen, okay? Now, immediately after Vooch sets his rip screen for Zach, right, and we see Zach go down, Vooch's going to come up here and set a screen for Kobe White to come on off of, okay? Awesome, love it, okay? Now, as this is being formed up here, screen is set, Now, the Bulls have kind of some decisions to make here. Okay, so if you're Kobe, like the initial action didn't work. I think honestly the initial idea was for him to, as the screen is being set, come on off of this and see if you can get downhill, but didn't really work out. Okay, fine. Now, the second action here is you're going to see Patrick Williams. He's going to come down here and he's going to set a pin down for Zach. Okay, Zach comes off of this and comes up for a corner 3-point look here, and we see that ball stored on the Vooch. Here's second action, bang. Now, in all honesty, I don't know if Zach was behind the 3-point line in this, so we need a little bit better execution, unfortunately. But he gets a shot fake here and takes a mid-range shot instead. I don't really love that. I think I think if this is a regular season game, he would either be shooting the 3-point shot or he's driving hard to the basket. But either way, though, I love the play set because that's a pin down for Zach LaVine to get either an open 3-point shot, or if his defender flies by him, he goes to the basket. And if for some reason, okay, let's run the play back. Let's say for whatever reason this play set doesn't get exactly what we want here. Okay, let's just look at the floor as Zach catches this ball. Okay, let's say for some reason this is guarded too perfectly, and we need to go to our second action. Okay, I already see many things that this Bulls team can do. Okay, so let's just say if you're Patrick Williams, for example, your next job then is to 100% clear out this way. Okay, now as you're doing it, I don't know exactly what you're going to plan on doing, but let's just say, for example, Patrick Williams needs to get rid of Bobby Portis. Okay, he can set a screen for Kobe White to go ahead and flare out to the corner and then to bring DeMar DeRozan up to the top of the key, as then Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic go ahead and do a screen and roll attempt. Okay, that would be your second action. Like, that to me is just, it's perfect. I love this sort of idea, is to get Zach on the move off ball, coming off some pin downs. That opens up a lot for you. And Zach LaVine has not dribbled the ball once this possession. Neither has DeMar DeRozan. So it just helps get this Bulls team moving a lot better. And I would hope to see more of this moving forward. There wasn't a lot of good half court sets by the Bulls in this game, unfortunately. This is where the Bulls kind of struggled. But obviously we talked about transition was fantastic. But I do think this half court stuff's going to get better over time. So that's what I wanted to end this day on. I know that the film breakdown is a little bit boring, unfortunately, but I did want to kind of point some stuff out that I was paying attention to. Yeah, Bulls unfortunately do lose their first game against Milwaukee Bucks, but it's preseason. It's all about process over results. Bulls took 33 attempts from 3-point land. That number would have been much higher if the starters and the main guys played more. So that's overall good to see. Process today, I think overall I'll give it an A- for the Bulls. I think a lot of the stuff was really good. Some blemishes here and there, but it's understandable. The next game for the Bulls is going to be against the Denver Nuggets. That's going to be on Thursday at the United Center, so it's going to be like a typical game for us and not a 12 p.m. start time. So I'm looking forward to that. Overall, though, I'm happy to say that Bulls basketball is back. I'm very, very happy to see that the Bulls are finally playing and the NBA is back. And I can't wait to go ahead and just continue doing what we've been doing here on this channel like we did last year into this season. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not already, I would appreciate if you hit the like button on the stream. Helps me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And please, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 806 currently. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So if you could share the channel, that would help out a lot. But other than that, though, that's gonna do it for me. I appreciate you guys a lot. And be on the lookout for a video from me coming up in this week before the next game against the Denver Nuggets. So that's all for me, guys. Appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on the stream on a Sunday afternoon. I know it's Sunday, it's a busy day, but I truly appreciate you guys a lot for hanging out with me. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.